Okay, we're live. Can everyone who is online hear me? We've got 13 people online and quite a few people in person, so I'm very grateful for the turnout. Let's see. Can you hear it? Can everyone hear me? Perfect. Okay, thanks guys. So hey everyone, for those of you who don't know, my name is Nicole Pagliacci. I am currently fourth year law. I hold many titles. I am the chairperson of VC Cares, and my amazing team is here today. I am the events coordinator for the Juridical Society, and I'm grateful that we have our head of law with us today as well. And I am a youth leader at my local church. I am a sister. I'm a daughter. I hold many titles, and I'm grateful for all the titles that I hold. One thing I'd like to do before we start with the talk is I'd like to just do a quick prayer, just to give this over to God, and He can guide us or guide me throughout it. So, can everyone please bow their heads? Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you, God, for the amazing people who have tuned in, who have come live, and who are here to celebrate with us today, God. I pray that everything that I do is just a light shining your amazing face, God. And I pray that I just glorify your name with everything that I do. God, I thank you for the gift that you've given me to speak and use my voice to bring awareness to this disease, God, and every other disability. Lord, I pray that I'm able to do what your will for me is. God, I pray that all the people with SMA are able to benefit from this, God, and that we're able to bring some awareness to South Africa and bring the treatment here soon. God, I thank you for all the blessings that you've poured into my life and that are going to be overflowed into everybody else's life, God. I thank you for this in your mighty and precious name. Amen. So, with that, for those of you who don't know, August is SMA Awareness Month, and that's why we're here today. And it's something that's very close to my heart. Obviously, I have SMA. And what that is a motor neuron disease, which basically I like to explain it like this, is if you have a cell phone and you have WhatsApp and you want to send a message, you obviously need data to send that message. If you don't have data and you send the message, you're going to get one tick. And my brain knows that, okay, it's sending a message, but I don't have data for the message to go through. So it's sending, it's going through, but no one's going to be able to receive it because there's no data. And the data in my body is a protein called SMN1. So because we lack this protein, our brain knows exactly what to do, but the rest of our body is not being told you need to do this. So because of this, our muscles are slowly dying and our motor neurons are dying. And once that has occurred, once the death of the motor neuron has occurred, we can't bring it back. So medical advancements were very limited for a very, very long time. But recently we've been given treatment has been made available, but it's not cheap. And I'll give you a rough estimate. So I think if I'm not mistaken, 2016, the first treatment came out, and it's called Spinraza. So Spinraza is basically a treatment that goes into your spine. So lumbar puncture, you go under every, I think about 4 months, if I'm not mistaken. You go in under anesthesia, it goes into your spine, and then that costs 750,000 US dollars for the first year and 350,000 US dollars every year after that for the rest of your life. I don't ever calculate it to the quick math, but we can't afford that here in South Africa. It's basically impossible. Even if you win the lotto like 10 times over, we still wouldn't be able to afford it. And it's something that we're trying to combat. But that's just the first treatment. and it's actually been deemed the most expensive treatment in the world, um, which is crazy because we put that type of price tag on our lives. Um, but so that was the first one. The next one that was released is something called Zolgen SMA, which is a gene altering drug. So if you don't understand what that means, gene is the basic foundation of human life, and what the drug does is then it physically alters your gene to then produce what is lost. And it's been a very big development in medical history because, if I'm not mistaken, it might be the first um, gene altering drug that's been released, and it works. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen a beautiful little girl who struggled so much. Let me go backwards a bit. Sorry, I'm all over the place. SMA has four different types of SMA. Type 1 is the most severe. Kids often don't live to see past their second birthday. Um, and it's a struggle because sometimes kids even die at birth. Type 2, which is what I've been diagnosed with, is just a little bit easier to live with. It's a bit more manageable. But obviously it's still really bad because we're wheelchair bound. We lose our ability to walk. Our muscles, all voluntary muscles, um, are just so weak that there comes a point where they just don't work anymore. Type 3 is a bit easier to manage. Excuse me. And it's a bit later onset. Um, People with type 3 often are able to walk, have the abilities that an average child would have until about the ages of 9, where then they slowly start digressing. Type 4 is something called adult onset SMA, and basically you only get this in the latter part of your life. So very similar to ALS, where you live a completely normal life up until that point where you get struck with the disease, and then you start to face the digression the same way a child would, but in your adulthood. And I feel like, as much as it might seem like a better thing to have lived your whole life with it, it's hard when you know something and then you lose it, compared to when you lose it from birth. You don't know what you're missing out on. But yeah, so the way that we often find out about SMA is at the age of onset. So I was diagnosed at 2 years old. On my second birthday, we got the message from the hospital. Um, I was in preschool, and our creche just said, "Hey, Nicole's not meeting the milestones that she should. You should get her checked out." So we got the test done, and I've heard the story 100 times. And we basically did a muscle biopsy. So if I was wearing shorts, I'd show you. But on my leg, there's a scar where they actually took muscle pieces and they had tested it. At the time, that was the only way of testing. They dissected it and did all the medicine stuff with it, and they found out that I have SMA type 2. And it was horrible because I know my dad said when he was told by the nurse, they were crying. Obviously, it's something hard to go through, but she said, just get over it. It is what it is. And it's something that obviously has to change over time. I think medical practitioners have now are more sincere about diagnoses and all of that things. But I know that my dad never looked at it as just something that was like, okay, she's got it, she's gonna die, it's over. He went straight to the computers, which was at the time very old and did not not what we have today. But he did his research. He found out everything that he could about SMA. If you had to ask him a question about it, he probably knows more than doctors do because it's so rare. And it's just something that we've had to live with, and we've never looked back and said, I wish. Obviously, it's something you don't wish you have, but we've never taken life for granted. And I'm grateful for the life that I have and the lessons that I've learned from it. Um, so, yeah, so that is what SMA is. That's the different types. So, with Zolgen, as I was saying, so Zolgen SMA, the treatment is the gene altering treatment. And I know personally a child with type 1 who often wouldn't live to see past their second birthday. She just turned 4. She's walking independently. She is doing so amazingly, and I cry watching her videos because there are so many kids who have just succumbed to the disease and are not with us anymore. And I know a few of them personally. Um, but it's amazing to see that this is what's happening in medicine right now. And the changes are coming, and it just means that holding on to that little sliver of hope is just going to get us to where we need to be. The third treatment, Zolgen, by the way, is a whopping 2.8 million Canadian dollars. Yeah. So I think it roughly estimates about 37 million rand. Which again, it's impossible for us to achieve here. But there are trials which we are trying to get into. There's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. Um, but I've never lost hope in that. So one thing to look forward to is there is currently an outroll of the third treatment in South Africa. And the third treatment is something called Varsity. So basically, it's a syrup that you take at home, very easy to take, and they took our disease into consideration because many people with SMA can't swallow tablets. So it's a syrup that you take at home every day for the rest of your life. Um, the estimated price is, I think, about 350,000 US dollars every year, um, obviously forever. But we have a gracious organization called Ex Gratia who is making it available in South Africa. And I know someone who is currently on it. And I think he's about 8 weeks into it now, and he's doing amazing. He's seeing the difference. He's getting a lot more strength. And I wait for his updates whenever they come online just to see, okay, it's working. I have something that I can look forward to, something that's just going to get me a little bit further. So it's it's just a glimmer of hope in an ever darkening world that we live in. But I'm very grateful for it. Um, but that's a bit of the technical side. Let me tell you about my life. So again, I was born with SMA, but we only got diagnosed at 2. Lived my life as an average child would. Got dirty in the sand, played with worms. I loved being outside. I've got pictures of me in pure white that's turned brown. I don't know why my dad did that to me, but okay. Um, I have an amazing family, and I'm grateful that I'm joined by some today, online and in person. I'm grateful for all the people who have just made life so much better. And with that, none of us have ever looked at me and said, "Oh, she's got SMA. That's not like life's over." We make life the fullest that we can. With the treatments and stuff, obviously back then there wasn't much that we could do. And one thing that we did know is that after some research being done, there was something called stem cell treatment. So many people might have heard this in bio if you did it in school. It's something that you actually study. But basically, there was no stem cell treatment done in South Africa at that point. This was 2009. We had to raise a quarter of a million rand to go there, and we did it. We gave everything that we had. We put everything into it, and we raised the money. And we spent 40 days in China. Um, in the first snow of its kind of 40 years. It's seen in the clouds. I had never been so cold in my life, um, but it was something that we had to do just to see if it would help. It obviously didn't help, but it was an experience that I never want to say we shouldn't have done it, because it's better to say we've done it and we know that it didn't work than the what if. The what if is the biggest thing in our life. Um, so spent 40 days in China, which is very exciting. Um, Maybe that's not the right word, but I had exposure to things like eating bullfrog, which I didn't eat. My dad exposed me to so many different cultures while I was there. We went to Chinese street markets. We did all of the things that you want to do as tourists, but I was still living in a hospital. So we never let that stop us. And soon after that, my amazing aunt had paid for us to go stay with her in India. So we took a horrible experience of living in a hospital, and then we went to India. We saw the culture there. I managed to go to the Taj Mahal. I saw cows all over the road, just like you see in Phoenix, but 10 times worse. I did a lot of things there, and I was grateful to say, even with my wheelchair, I've traveled the world. I've done a lot of things, and I'm going all over the place. And I should have made notes, but I didn't because I like to just speak from my heart. And just so you guys know that I didn't prepare something. I'm not going to be reading like a robot. I'm going to go through what's going through my head right now. But basically, that's what we did. And with the amazing foundation, I'm sure you guys would know Reach for a Dream. They've come to campus before, and I'm grateful that they give the exposure there. But they actually also sent me to Disney World. So I went and spent a week in Florida, a city with 4 seasons in one day, which was exciting. And I can only say that I wouldn't have done that without my disability. So I'm grateful for all of the things. And I'll say it 100 million times, but I'm very grateful for what God has given me because He knew that I could handle it. He knew that He needed me to be in this position to share with everyone because He's given me that power. So that was a lot younger in my time. I went to a special needs school called Open Air School, which was pre-primary all the way to matric. So I did my whole schooling career there. And when I was in about grade 7, we had discovered that I had a scoliosis. So, for those who don't know, a scoliosis is when your spine, instead of being straight, curves to one side. It can be an S curve, so you can curve to both sides, but I had a C curve, which is my spine was curving like this. I was crushing my heart and my lungs because my body wasn't able to hold me up straight. So, we had to get surgery done. That was the first major surgery that I had done, I think, since birth, and it was scary. And this is the reality that many people with SMA face because our body isn't able to maintain the muscle to keep us upright. We slowly just fall to the side. And it was life threatening because obviously my organs would have eventually failed because it wasn't functioning the way that it should have. So we got that done in about 2014. And I would show you right now, but it's a bit uncomfortable. But I've got a scar going from the top of my spine all the way down, and that'll be with me forever. But it's something that everyone with SMA has, or not has, but the experience, and it's something that we have to debate getting done even because you never know if we're gonna come out from the anesthesia. With SMA, you all of our voluntary muscles are weakened and slowly die, which means the ability to breathe slowly just gets worse. The ability to swallow food is slowly getting worse, and I'm noticing that now. Even sometimes just being able to swallow water, you think it's so easy, it goes down, but our muscles and our throat muscles are just getting worse. My ability to see, these glasses are not because I'm blind, it's because my eyes are digressing. Um, Actually, we have a very good history of eyesight in our family. Um, but things like this, our sight slowly gets lost. I won't be completely blind, but my ability to focus on certain things, just it's getting worse, and that's because of our disability. My legs, um, obviously I can't walk, but I can still move them. I can still feel everything, and that's a big misconception as people think because I'm in a wheelchair I can't move my legs, I can't feel different things. I can feel everything. It's just there's not enough muscle to do what it needs to do. Um, Another thing with this is because we're always sitting in our wheelchairs, we have contractions. So what that is our muscles have tightened to the point that I can't straighten my legs, I can't even straighten my arms anymore. If you can see, there's a curve in my elbow because I've been sitting in my wheelchair so long that my body's gotten used to this. I can't lay flat on a bed. I look like a weird W. It goes, yeah, yeah, I know. um, it goes like that, and then my hips go up, and then my knees go down, and then yeah, it's a weird shape, but that's the type of thing that. Okay, Nikki. Okay, my cousin said we did not get those good eyesight genes. Yes, we did not. um, but that's also the type of thing that we need to look out for, and that's why physio and occupational therapy and all these other therapies are so important from a very young age, because we need to maintain whatever we have or we lose it. um, I was a very busybody kid, so I did not like doing my physio, and that's why I'm in the position I am today. I should have been much more strict with myself, but I wasn't. um, and certain things could have been stopped, could have been minimized, but it wasn't. And in saying that, I'm grateful for what I have and what I'm going through, because it just means that I can speak to other people and help them not get to this point. Um, yeah, so that's a bit of my story. I am currently living with my little sister who's at school, so she would not be watching this, hopefully. I live with my dad, who is a single father. He is a real life superhero. He takes care of me every single day. He does it with a smile on his face. He says I keep him fit and young. I just know I give him gray hairs and make him feel old. But he has done everything with me from day one and not never made me feel bad about it. One thing is that I can't bath myself, because obviously I don't have the capability to do that, and he does that for me. He will do it without even blinking an eye. The gross lady things that happen every month, he does that too. And I'm grateful for that. He has taken it on with such just passion and purpose, and I'm so grateful for that. And I've got a family who's always offered, but my dad is my dad, and I would always want him to do it before anyone else. But yeah, so that's a bit of my story. I want to open up the floor to any questions that you guys have. And then a bit later on, before we close off, we'll do a bit of a candle lighting ceremony. And just to touch on that is every year in August, on the second Saturday of the month, which was this past Saturday, we have a candle lighting ceremony to remember those who we've lost and to remember those who currently have SMA and are fighting the battle every single day. So we will be doing that. Everybody has a little candle. I've got a plate full of candles for myself. Um, but before we do that, can I just want to ask, does anyone have any questions, even online? If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. But yeah, yes. Well, and yourself. It's Jesus, baby. It's always Jesus, and I'm grateful for that because He's given me purpose. He's given me a life, and He's put breath in my lungs for me to talk and be who I need to be for everybody. Um, but yeah, it's Jesus. That's all I can say. Yeah. Any other questions? It can be anything, not about SMA. For those who don't know, I'm actually running a bit of a campaign video. So if you guys want to get involved in that as well, just pop me a video of you asking a question. The video will be uploaded to YouTube very soon. I am extending the submission dates until the end of August to get more videos in, but I would love that. But any other questions? Anything online? Yes. Mhm. So with that, I'm currently not on medical aid because medical aid does not cover SMA in South Africa. It's not seen as a prescribed medical benefit, so us getting medical aid is it's a hassle and it's a headache that really doesn't need to be one, but it is. So I'm currently looking for a medical aid to get it on because the only way for us to get it is through a medical aid. So once I get medical aid, then the process goes of me filling out the application forms, getting all of that done. But I think it takes about a month, if not a little bit longer, after the application has started. Um, but it is in the future and it's something that I'm looking forward to because I can see the difference that's happening. Another thing is that there is treatment that's on trial in Cape Town. So that treatment is available to people between the ages of 2 and 18. Um, and unfortunately, I'm just a bit older than that, so I couldn't get onto the trial. Um, but it will be that once-off treatment, so the Zolge and SMA. And that just gives me so much of hope because it means that they've opened up the age gap, and that means that slowly soon in the future the age gap will be opened again. So I'm just keeping my eyes open for that as well. It is a possibility. I've not closed myself off to anything just because I don't know what God has in store for me. So we'll see what happens. But yes, thank you for the question. Yes. Yes, he is. So he has medical aid. He's paying an exorbitant amount because that's the only way for us to get coverage. But he has it. He has a less severe type than me because he is able to walk. Even before the treatment, he is able to walk, but now he's just gaining a lot more strength, which is just so much of hope for us. Um, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 100%. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what this platform allows me to do. It allows people around the world to see that I have SMA. I'm open to the treatment. I'm open to even being in a trial for it. So this just puts my name out to the world, to anyone who's willing to accept me into the trial. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to everyone because it allows me to share my story further. But thank you for that. Yes. Anyone else? There's a few online questions, but yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my goal has always been to move overseas. So if there was a child that's willing to accept me in a heartbeat, I will pack my bags today and leave tomorrow. Ooh. Um, there has been a few. Australia has been the number one, obviously. Huh? Yeah, I know the spiders, but I think it's closest in terms of climate. So it would be a lot easier on me because obviously with metal rods in your spine, you feel the cold intensely. I can feel in my bones like a day before a storm is coming because I can just tell it's so cold. I'm shivering in my bones literally. That's it's a saying, but it's real. Um, but Australia's been one, but with a disease or physical disability, you're not actually allowed to immigrate there. It is one of their rules is what people with disabilities aren't able to immigrate. So that's kind of it is. It's very ableist, but it's something that we've had to then look at and say, okay, that's not an option for us. Same with New Zealand. You can't immigrate there with a disability. The other options that we're looking at is Canada because of their great medical aids. But I would freeze to death. Um, um, I think there's a mic problem. Are you able to hear? Okay, cool. Um, yeah, so Canada was one. Just oh, the question was if I was given the opportunity to move overseas to receive treatment, would I? And yes, the answer is yes. In a heartbeat, I would move anywhere in the world. Um, but obviously, I need to take into consideration the climate, the accessibility, because not all countries are accessible. I need to take into consideration the exchange rates because we don't have a lot of money, and to move overseas is very expensive. All of that. Um, but the other option, and it's something that I've been really wanting to do, is to go to the UK. But again, the weather is horrid. It's rainy and it's gloomy, but it is something that I really want to do, and hopefully after I graduate, exactly that's the one thing is I could be a solicitor there. Um, so I'm not completely closed it off, but it is something that is going to be a bit difficult. Um, Other than that, my cousin lives in Dubai, so that's an option. It would be a bit difficult to move there with studying here, but I'm never closed off to the idea, and I know that she wants me to come very, very badly. Um, and she's watching right now. So it's not something that I'm closed off to, but well, it's something that I do have to explore in the future. Um, but yeah, just a few questions on the chat is who is my favorite aunt? I'm going to get executed if I give the right answer. I don't think there is a right answer. Maybe the person who posted the comment. Uh, but no, I love all of my aunts equally. I love them to bits, and they're basically my moms because when my mom left, they took on the role without even batting an eyelid. So I'm grateful for all of them, and I love you, Auntie Krishni. Another question is, what has inspired you to become a lawyer? That's a great question. I am the product of a broken home, as I explained, and it's not an easy thing to go through. Um, and it's something that I want to help other families go through, especially when not both parents are good parents. So when there's obviously a better parent in law, our goal is always the best interest of the child. Um, so I want to be able to provide the best interest of the child and help them get through that type of thing. So the answer to questions is also that's the type of law that I want to go into in the future. I've looked at other options, and no matter what, I'm pulled towards family law. But that is my reasoning behind becoming a lawyer. And once I started studying it more, just my passion for justice has been immensely growing since day one. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to study it and just the way that that has benefited me. Um, okay, another question is how do we go about contributing to your treatments for the portion not covered by medical aid? That is a great question. At the moment, I do not have any type of funding system, so like a GoFundMe or Back a Buddy. But when I do need it, I will be opening one. I will make it available to anyone online. The reason that we haven't opened one yet is because we've been blessed immensely. We lack nothing in our lives at the moment other than treatment. And until it becomes available to the public, I don't feel it's necessary for us to be asking money from other people until there's a purpose for it. It feels very selfish because there are other people who need it, and we are willing to help them 100% whenever we can. But it feels a bit um, like we're taking when we don't need it. And I really I appreciate that everyone loves asking this question. Everybody wants to give me more money, and thank you. But until there's a purpose for it, I will not be opening a GoFundMe. But when it is needed, I will open one. I'll put it all over the internet, and we will get what we need to because I know that there are many, many amazing people who are willing to help. But yeah, um, what is that? Come to Dubai, Habibi. What advice would you give to other children to stay motivated? That's a good one. Find something that you're passionate about and work towards getting that done and achieving that. I think that's a big thing. Is in order for us just to have drive, we have to have something that we're going towards. It's useless to say I want to do this and I want to do that, but there's no plan in action. Um, Also, I think Jesus is my biggest motivation. So if you find spirituality, I think that helps you with staying motivated because you just know that you have purpose. Um, yeah, that's about it. I can't think of any other advice. I've just gone through life with amazing people around me. So I think surrounding yourself with amazing people helps you get to what you need to do as well. But are there any other questions before we start the candle lighting? Anything? No, anything online? I don't think there is. So do we have the yeah, the lighter is here. So everybody has a little candle. Can I have one of these ones? Hmm, thank you. So we all have a little candle like this, and they're beautiful purple. Thanks to Shana for organizing this. Purple is SMA's color, so we are most of us are rocking some kind of purple yet today. Um, yes. So I know we did our candle lighting at home yesterday, and we normally just light them until they burn out. And I went past it like 4 times, and I wanted to blow it out so bad. The intrusive thoughts of winning. Yeah. Okay, does everybody have one? Okay, so we light these candles to remember those who have come before us with SMA, those who have lost their lives, those who have SMA and are fighting every single day. And my candle will forever be lit for Craig Yusser, my real life superhero who I met many, many years ago. And he, there's one thing I love to say is that most times you see a person, a celebrity, and you call them your role model, and you always want to meet them. And I met Craig, and then he became my role model. So I'm grateful for that experience because he never let SMA stop him. He was the greatest comedian ever to live. He never let SMA. He just he wanted his disability to be part of him, and that's what he did. And until his very last breath, he was one of the most amazing people alive. And every year, my candle will be for him. Also for my U.S. family in Tennessee, our Carly Beam. We love you, Carly. My candle will always be for you as well. I can't wait to meet you and your amazing family. I hope you're watching whenever you can. Um, and just, yeah, we want to honor you all. So if everybody wants to just do a silent prayer in whichever way they do, we can do that. And then we'll call this to a close. Okay, I think that is our sign to leave. There are lectures that need to happen here, but thank you all for joining online. Thank you to everyone who came in person. I really appreciate that you guys took time out of your day to watch and just participate. So thank you all. Yes.